What's up, y'all? Back for 2 weeks in a row. Pretty proud. We are back in the Beatitudes. This one is going to be chapter 5, verse 6, and it says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." Personally, this is my favorite one. I feel like it's super hard to not understand. It's pretty self-explanatory. But one of the things is it makes me think a lot about just the lifestyle I'm trying to live. But with that, first, let's hear from you. What do you think about this verse?
I don't know. I think I was just telling Josh how in The Chosen, when Jesus is having Matthew write down what he's saying for his Sermon on the Mount, and he's saying this part out loud. In the movie, it flashes to all of the different disciples, and it's just a cool idea. Whether that's actually what he was meaning when he said this, it's just a cool idea that he's giving us off a list of his followers, and I mean, as followers, we can be meek. As followers, we mourn with those who mourn. As followers, we hunger and thirst for righteousness. And so I just think it's very interesting to think of the Beatitudes as like certain personality types, I guess what you would say, or like spiritual gifts for people. And so I think for this, to hunger and thirst for righteousness, I think it would be Peter, and like the rock, and he was like Jesus's go-to, like, I will do anything and everything for you, and he got angry when people tried to come against Jesus, and just that I don't know, that passion that he had for God and what he knew to be true, he was very passionate about, and he didn't let anyone else tell him otherwise. And just finding a boldness in that, because I mean that is bold.
Right.
It's hard to do those things in hunger and thirst for righteousness, because most of the time that's going against what the world tells you should be upset about, or what you should strive for in life. And so it takes a lot of boldness to hunger and thirst for righteousness.
Yeah.
So
I like that. It's funny. So we were talking about, you feel like you think of me when you see this verse, but I think it's funny because I see it in you a lot too, because I really think about, especially when we were in Kansas City and you went through that time where you had nothing to do, like during the workday, and so you just spent so much time getting deeper with God, and you still do that, and I love it, because I feel like when I get to come home, I get to hear what you learned, and so it's like I get double the portion because you're hungering and thirsting for righteousness, and I love the idea of, like, I think of, like, when Jesus was like, the zeal of the Lord will fill him for his home, and like, that's a cool idea. I love the passionate idea, but I don't know, I just really think of you when I think of this, because it's like I see you do hunger and thirst, like you're always wanting to know more. I feel like you're always in a posture of willing to listen. Like, I've never known you to be like, no, I don't really feel like learning today. Like, I just not you. And I think it's cool because it's definitely two sides of that coin. It's like the side who's kind of more like me, where I'm passionate and I'm trying to learn, but it's like grabbing everything I can and doing everything I can.
Aggressive.
Right. And then I feel like yours is very just consistent time and just spending as much as you can to gain as much as you can, merely because you want to benefit. Like, I remember when with Lewisburg, you wanted to learn more about Catholicism because you wanted to know, what does Christianity look like to Catholicism? Because, we had a couple of people who were Catholics who walked into that youth group. And so you took it on yourself to start learning more about it. And I think that's just really cool, because I've seen you do that so much. And it made me think of the verse, 2 Thessalonians 3:13, which says, "As for you, brothers, do not grow weary of doing good." I think for me, that's it. It's like, if you're hungry and if you're thirsting, like, you will not grow weary of hunger and thirst. Like you will always be hungry. You'll always be thirsty. Like you're never going to grow weary of needing your daily bread. You're never going to grow weary of needing that living water. It's like, I don't know. And that's what I think of. And obviously, it's important because this righteousness isn't just like knowledge. Like the righteousness that he's talking about is like we're seeking to have a life that's perfectly reflects Jesus. And I think it's really cool because I do think sometimes we can get in the knowledge side and we miss the righteousness side. And I know I've done that. It's like you want to know, but then you're like, okay, but how does this make me more like God? Just to know this. And so I think that's also a key factor in it as well.
Yeah, I like that. I also think, kind of going back to like the boldness is like, it's very satisfying to be bold and step in obedience.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. Like, for me, I think growing up, I never would have counted myself as someone that was bold. Like, never, that would never have been a word that I would use to describe myself.
Right.
But I think recently specifically in the last couple of months, kind of a year, but the last couple of months, I've done bold things.
Yeah.
And it is the most satisfying thing. Like, I crave... even though it's sometimes scary in the moment, I'm like, oh, are you sure? Like, I don't know. But it's so satisfying to feel so encouraged to take that step of obedience and to thirst for hunger and righteousness. Because I think it is obedience. Like, you want to walk in that obedience.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like, I don't know. I like that you will be satisfied because it makes me think of like where does that satisfaction come from? It doesn't come from like people. So like if I was being bold and I said to you, like me being bold to you, I don't think that's a thing because I'm not going to get any kind of backlash from you. Right. You're going to be like, okay, yeah, like that's good. Like I'm listening, I'm learning from you and you can do whatever. But like to me, it's not bold to say something bold to you because I know it's going to be received with grace and understanding and listening. It's bold and it's hunger and thirsting for righteousness that you will be satisfied when you do something that you won't necessarily get the round of applause for. Like this Peter and the disciples, they didn't get a round of applause every single time. Like they were almost stoned. They went through all of these crazy things. They weren't But they were satisfied because they had Jesus, and that's where their satisfaction came from. Absolutely. And so that's just what I was thinking of.
No, I love that. It just makes me think of what we talked about tonight, like with the kids, like that joy. It's like that joy, a joy-filled strength. Like that's your satisfaction. It's like I'm not satisfied with the world. I'm satisfied with where I'm going. Like I'm satisfied with the fact that this isn't my home and that no matter what happens, if I am glorifying God, that's my satisfaction. And I also like it, like to even go deeper into the analogy side, like the fact that he's talking about food and water, like the satisfaction that comes from nourishment. Like I like that because to me, when I preach, when I do these videos, like it's like that is nourishment to me. Like I feel spiritually, emotionally, physically better when I do that. And now obviously some sermons drain you physically, but it's like you have that nourishment when you go and you do the things that are hunger and are thirsting after righteousness. And I love that because I think it's really cool.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, I hope y'all got something out of this. I hope it encourages you guys to hunger and thirst for righteousness because man, once you start doing it, you can't stop. It's like, it's addictive in a funny way. It's funny. So, my aunt who lives in Arizona was talking to my cousin, and she was saying like he was saying everybody has an addiction, and she was like, well, what am I addicted to? And he's like, you're addicted to Jesus. And I just think that's so cool. Like I want to be seen like that. I want to be addicted to Jesus. Like no matter what stigma that might bring, if that really is anything, it's like I want to be addicted to Jesus. So I hope that encourages y'all. We love you dearly. The for this week is going to be Wake Up by Northwest Stories. It's a banger. Very excited for you guys to all get to enjoy that because I have been. And if you have any prayer requests, please let us know. Like I said, there's nothing we would love to do more than pray for y'all. Thank you for just tuning in with us. I pray that God truly moves through this for you guys. We love to be able to do it. And so it's a blessing just to, get to hunger and thirst for righteousness. So we love y'all and we will see you next week. Deuces.